Colossus is the most advanced lineup optimizer in daily fantasy sports. Lock and exclude players. Adjust player exposure to reduce risk of injury or poor performance. Customize individual projections or upload your own projections. Generate hundreds of optimal lineups in seconds. Name and save the best lineups. Create winning lineups for the top sites like DraftKings and FanDuel for free at dailyfantasycafe.com.
Hello and welcome to the Injury Report podcast. I'm Big Italy 42 here talking about some key injuries for NFL players that either happened in Week 3 or had a lot of effect on Week 3 and what we're looking at moving forward with these guys. So first off, biggest blow of the weekend, Ben Roethlisberger. I don't know if you were like me. I had quite a few stacks of him with Antonio Brown in some tournaments and went down. Looked like it was a serious knee injury. It still may be. They're saying MCL sprain. 4 to 6 weeks for him. Hopefully, it's not a situation where it ends up being a season-long injury, but it looks really bad. Probably a good thing for him that's only 4 to 6 weeks tentatively right now. Michael Vick, obviously, the backup here, came in, but as the backup, and he's going to be the starter, but certainly not the Michael Vick of old. Lots of weapons, though. You expect a huge workload for Le'Veon Bell. Obviously, Antonio Brown, throw the ball anywhere near him, Antonio Brown's going to go up and get him. But definitely going to be the Le'Veon Bell show. So like I expect he was already getting a nice workload in his first game back. I expect more of that moving forward, and rightfully so because Le'Veon Bell is the focal point of this offense. So probably a little bit of a tick down for guys like Antonio Brown. Definitely Heath Miller going to be, I'm not going to say completely off the radar, but going to take a huge hit there. So Antonio Brown takes a hit, and Le'Veon Bell gets a bump definitely with Michael Vick under center. That's going to be the Thursday night game this week, by the way. So if you're not playing Thursday night game, not anything you need to worry about this week if you're not playing Thursday slates. Next up, Drew Brees. Obviously, he sat out this week. Saw Luke McCown come in. He was efficient. Not a lot of upside. He was a lot of short passing game, a lot of smart, easy throws where you're put in a position to succeed, and a smart game plan there by these guys. But these Cowboys, they're going to be facing the Cowboys next week, Drew Brees. They're expected he will miss another week. Now he's saying he's going to play. I mean, this was kind of a iffy situation moving into this week as well because we heard Brees possibly out for a while, possibly not out at all. Now it seemed like obviously a little bit more serious than they're letting on. But if he thinks he's going to play, obviously he'll get monitored throughout the week. And if he plays, I mean, this is definitely a secondary that's exploitable. Cowboys, I mean, Matt Ryan and Julio Jones absolutely slaughtered them. So this is a defense that's better than they looked this week, but Brees will be a guy that not a lot of people will be on. But it's also, just a situation where this offense and defense just did not look bad at all. So definitely a guy that'll fly under the radar. Not sure one I'll be targeting very much there, but definitely a big injury, very key for the Saints and for the teams facing him as well. Because I mean, without him there, certainly some defenses you could be targeting against the Saints. Next up, LeSean McCoy, and doesn't seem like this one's a very clear situation once again. They said he was playing on 1.5 legs, essentially, and Rex Ryan was totally against resting him. So now saying maybe he rests, and if he sits out, Carlos Williams is going to be a guy that you're going to want to pick up. Anyway, he had a huge game, and he's scored in all 3 games now. So the guys looked great. He's looked better than McCoy anyway. And so if McCoy sits out, that's just going to provide us with a really nice value in Carlos Williams. And this is a guy, LeSean McCoy, that wasn't getting many goal line carries when he was in anyway. Tyrod Taylor already going to be popular. And this is a Giants secondary that's terrible. So obviously this is a defense that in itself is just not very good. And you got to expect Carlos Williams, Tyrod Taylor, both those guys should be able to do quite a bit and produce and pay off their cheap price tags next week. Taylor's tag starting to get up there quite a bit, but still not to the level of his recent production. So I'm going to continue to take advantage, and I think you should as well. Definitely Carlos Williams, though, going to be a very popular play as far as values go for Week 4 if McCoy does sit out. Marshawn Lynch. We didn't hear anything all week. Then Friday we hear from Pete Carroll. It's possible he sits out. He's a game-time decision. Then he plays, and he left with a hamstring injury. And so if you went in and you took your chance on Lynch, you certainly didn't get paid off. He left out. He left the game. Doesn't seem like a serious injury. But if for some reason he doesn't play, you could be looking at Rouse. I mean, he came in and had over 100 yards. Thomas Rouse He looked great, but seems like this is a situation where Lynch was taken out because it wasn't a close game. Bears couldn't move the ball at all. So Lynch should be back. Probably a little bit more of a risky play anyway. It's a tougher matchup against the Lions, not much tougher. Still not a defense that's looked great. But certainly, I mean, Bears about as good of a matchup as you're going to get. So monitor that, really more so because you'd be able to open up Thomas Rawls as the backup if Lynch doesn't go. But seems like it was a precautionary thing. So definitely keep your eye on that. Last one, Alshon Jeffrey for the Bears. Was held out this past week. Made a lot of sense. I mean, Jimmy Clausen was starting. It would have been essentially Jimmy Clausen and Matt Forte and Alshon Jeffrey against the Seahawks at Seattle. Wasn't a pretty situation. No reason to make him play in that game. And he's hoping to come back against the Raiders. And the Raiders are a defense that's definitely been exploited through the air. Jimmy Clausen, though, looked terrible. Granted, it was the Seahawks. Raiders are a much better matchup for him. And according to Pro Football Focus, they're ranked 27th in pass coverage. So this is definitely a beatable secondary. Jeffrey obviously should be able to help some of the struggles for this offense, especially with Jimmy Clausen and in the short passing game, get him involved. Not a guy that you have monster hopes for, but he's certainly going to be the focal point of that passing attack next week in a much better matchup. So if he does come back and injuries not re-aggravated in practice or anything like that, definitely something to monitor moving forward. That's going to wrap things up. If you've got any questions about these or anything else, we are at DF Cafe. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We got lots of great more content for this week, for the rest of MLB, moving up through week 4 in the NFL, college football, and everything in between. So check that out at dailyfantasycafe.com.